want to bring you some update with the activity concerning GBHS Fontem Student Association, as we have been monitoring and reporting on many of the activities that the student is doing, especially different batches going on. And now the national president recently announced that the convention is going to take place in Columbus, Ohio on October 21st to 22nd. And I just have to bring this presentation to you, dear viewer, especially the student of that particular school. And we all know that it is almost about 2 years when the class by class discussion started becoming on the spotlight.
So my question to you would be, if this is a good idea, are you already contacting and talking to some of these batches leadership? If yes, which ones?
Not as much as we would like to do yet. I've reached out to the which batch is Philobel in. I lost track of the batches, but I've spoken to your batch. I've been to your batch. I've come to attended your own. Address your own batch. I've addressed Philobel's batch. And some of the batches are really forming now. And I just got to know that the fourth batch had formed for 1J's batch, for instance, and I will reach out to them. We were still using before Corona hit, and actually, kind of like push all of us into the social media era faster than we had thought. We were still using the traditional approach. And that traditional approach meant that we were holding conventions and then raising funds at each one of those conventions. One was held right here in Ohio, one was held in DC, one was held in Boston. Each one of those conventions was raising tons of money, about $12,000 on average. That will go till about 6 million francs or CFA thereabout. So yes, we would do more by reaching out to these people. I just encourage that more batches are formed. But I would also need to actually say that there should be champions in these different batches. So they don't really need to, these champions in these different batches allow us to be able to communicate with the champions who will then go back to their different batches to amplify the message.
It wasn't very effective because of several reasons. Usually it were just a handful of students that used to converge in different states or in the name of chapters. We don't really know how effective those chapters were. More also, I'm not even sure if that organization, that national, actually had a constitution or a bylaw, because the current leadership has been in power for more than 5 years without any election. And you see, everybody's just kind of let him go like that. But at some time, I think many feel that we cannot just let an organization just die or just become ineffective in that way. And Gaza Media, in course of all of that conversation, Gaza Media reached out to other batches that were already forming their own group and get their reaction.
Been the SG of all the associations that I attend. And today I am the Secretary General of our class association, the 1991-92 or the class, or the 11th batch. I just want to say I'm standing for this interview in the place of our president, Dr. Nkemaze Rulan, who was unable to make it and is out there saving lives.
Okay, the president of the entire GBHS Student Association appeared in Gaza Media, urging the creation of different badges of GBHS so as to foster the entire alumni. So what message do you have for your own badge?
Thank you for that question. Our badge is already up and doing, thanks to some dedicated members, such as Dr. Fabella Dominic, the General President himself, Dr. Edmund Folefak, Afua Marinette, Atemke Barnabas, known as Banimo, and many others. GSS FESDA 1983-89 can boast of a membership of about 80 members now, and we are ongoing. I will take this opportunity or occasion to call on all who are not yet on board to join the bandwagon.
Thank you so much, sir.
As those conversations were going on, as these batches were forming, we also reached out to the president, Dr. Folefa, who is the president of the former or the president of the ex-student we may call it now the national, because now there's kind of transition from that chapter to batch by batch. So he was all for it because they saw that there were advantages, which many have even aired out, of being together in the same class. And when we contact the former principal, one of the former principal, Mr. Paul Abofo, he also gave his own opinion with regard to the class-by-class approach in building the alma mater.
Batch by batch may be very effective, because when you sit in the same class with the same person for 5 years or 7 years, you are very close, and so you can work together. But then if you are talking with somebody who was about 5 years ahead of you or 5 years behind you, you see, the thinking may not be the same. And so I think that idea of batch by batch is a good one.
You will realize that when all this conversation was going on, we reached out to the president, Dr. Folefak Emon, and he was all for it. But over 2 years, nothing happened. It wasn't up to recent. That was in May, when Gaza Media reached out again to him, or he contacted Gaza Media and make a public announcement that there is going to be a convention. Let's say the student association, the overall is not functioning properly the way they think it should be, that they see more of the batch by batch or different batches carrying on activity. So I just wanted to find out from you, what are you planning or what are you thinking when it comes to the overall student alumni? I'll start with you.
Yeah, so that's why we're here today, right? I mean, as you know, there have been a lot of reasons why we've not been able to function as well as we ought to be, starting with the war, then COVID, and a lot of other things that has actually put us in this chaos. But at this point, we really want to relaunch the activities of the association, and beginning with the hosting of the convention, which we've been very privileged to have the Ohio branch accept to host the national convention this year. I think the PRO would actually go more into details to tell you the date of that convention hosting, and then we can then start talking about what to do in order to be able to, build on the existing class or batch by batch, as you put it, to be able to make the association a much functional and to live up to its really true expectations.
On the 21st and 22nd of October 2022. That date has been set. Now, the next question people are wondering is, what are we going to really do in Columbus? What is the agenda put forward? At least we have seen the Chief Financial Officer have put out a spreadsheet calling upon all the batches to register with their representative. And here at Gaza Media, we want to urge all those batches that have been contacting us about the entire organization to reach out and register their name or their members or their representative, so that they can begin to maybe hold meetings in preparation of the upcoming convention. But we at Gaza Media also think that the leadership need to be a little bit more active or proactive in communication. For example, really telling the audience what the agenda is, what they hope to achieve. Because here at Gaza Media, we believe that there is going to be a complete transformation of GBHS Fontem Student Association. The formula that used to be chapter by chapter, that has gone. That had gone. So now people are more focused on the batches and what are we going to do in Columbus. Consequently, there need to be a constitution, perhaps. There need to be a new executive, maybe election. What format? So all this conversation, we believe that with all the possible media outlet out there, WhatsApp, Zoom. Yeah, some of this conversation, people should begin to have some of this conversation. So by the time we converge to Columbus, we should know exactly what is at hand. So I just say I should bring this to our audience, to you fellow students, that if you have not registered your batch, please go online to the spreadsheet that has been posted on the WhatsApp forum and send in your representative, irrespective of where you are. You may be in Africa, you may be in Europe, put your name there. Meeting this day, convention this day doesn't mean that you need to be physically present. Meeting this day are done on Zoom webinar, so that way you can still participate. Your representative can still be there. Even being the president doesn't mean that you must be physically in Northern America. You could still be in Cameroon, you could still be in Europe, in South Africa, and still be the president of GBHS Fontem Student Association. Again, thank you for listening to this short presentation. For Gaza Media, I'm NS Kumar.